It Feeds is a brand new 2025 Canadian film that was filmed in one of my favorite cities, the wonderful Hamilton, Ontario, that I also lived in for a while. So, slight bias on this film because of where it was shot. And I don't know if it is supposed to take place in Canada. It might be meant to take place in the United States, but it was entirely shot in that city in Canada, in Ontario. And I rather enjoyed this film. It's got an extremely limited release so far. It was released in very select theaters, and I'm not sure about the streaming, when it's going to be available to be streaming or anything like that. I didn't really look that up, but it's an indie film, and it's done really well. I can't talk a whole ton, so this probably will be quite a short video, but it's just to avoid spoilers and stuff like that. But basically, it's a horror film, and we're dealing with an entity that kind of attaches itself to a person in particular, but it attaches itself to a person's body. And we're dealing with this little girl who talks to this clairvoyant. This clairvoyant, she kind of does psychic readings and deals with the supernatural kind of thing when it comes to people dealing with demons and entities and whatnot. She has a daughter as well, and this little girl comes to, or this young girl comes to this clairvoyant to seek help, and her father comes and like takes her away and is like, "Oh, don't worry about it," she says this to everybody, kind of trying to make light of the situation. So things get fishy there. The daughter starts to investigate the father and this girl, and she asks around, and she's led to the father's home, and she kind of gets herself involved, and she wants to help this young girl, but the mom is very hesitant because she doesn't want to get involved with this evil entity demon thing, and things go from there essentially. But it's a cool film. It's really spooky, and I love the cinematography of this film. For a low budget independent project, it's done extremely well. It reminded me a lot of the work by Bruce McDonald, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's the guy who directed Pontypool, which is a Canadian horror film, as well as Helians, which I really enjoyed, which is also a Canadian film. And he's in the Canadian indie horror scene, and he does really good work. But he had nothing to do with this film or anything. But the style of this film definitely gave me a vibe of him because it has that small town feel, really heavy and present in this film. And it's really disturbing at times. And I love the climax and the finale, like the whole third act of this film. Really, again, it's going to be hard for me to compare this film to other things and other films, especially because it's one of those films where if I start comparing other films to it, it kind of gives a lot of stuff away. So I'm going to try to avoid that. But the third act really felt very The Further like when it comes to Insidious, because you have your main characters kind of going to this other realm, and it doesn't feel like The Further, but it's a different realm, and you have the main characters. It's a much more goth feel. It's a much more like very gothic, very like black dresses and very emo, very goth hairstyles and stuff like that when they enter this realm that literally looks like hell. And there's these demon practical effects and CGI kind of mix that are really creepy and eerie, and just really give that goth tone. And I loved the cinematography like crazy. Performances all around were fantastic. It's shot beautifully. It feels like an independent project, but it feels like a passion project at the same time. And there is a scene where somebody is buried alive. So if anybody gets a little bit disturbed or uncomfortable watching that kind of stuff, if you get terrified from the film Buried, there is like an entire sequence of kind of something like that happening. But it's a fun watch, and it's definitely going to be one that a lot of people are going to overlook just because of little marketing and the very limited release that it's having right now. But it definitely needs some eyes on it, and definitely needs some attention from the horror scene, because this is going to be a hidden gem for a lot of people, and it is one for me already. So I highly suggest checking out It Feeds, which is very brand new. It just came out in this month. And yeah, that's really all I got to say about it. Is a strong recommendation. If you like horror and supernatural kind of horror, along the lines of anything demon entity kind of horror. It's not a possession film. It's not anything like that. It's more so like people being used as kind of a vessel for forces and stuff like that. So it's definitely very, very different from possession exorcist films, which if it's sounding like that, it's nothing like that. So give it a chance, and yeah, it's great. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5. So I really, really had a good time with this one. It Feeds just came out. Go look for it if you can find it somewhere nearby, wherever you guys are, and let me know in the comments, I guess, what you think if you do watch it. And subscribe to Morgan the Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.